It's Wednesday, it's hump day, and it's North Carolina Vinyl Picker. I'm here in the house. This is going to be number 4. We're going to do 50 records in 50 days. 50 a day for 50 days, or until I get done with my collection. But I'm guessing it's going to be around a month, a little over a month. Found 5 records today at an antique mall. Saving those for Saturday, though. 3 of them are bangers. 2 of them are good records. Antique mall. Cheers. You ready to go through these 50 records? Here we go. We're still in the B's. Bobbie Gentry. I like Bobbie Gentry, and I started collecting her records, and I ended up getting all of them. Most of them for 50 cents or $1. And I like her. I like her music. So I'll probably keep Bobbie. Well, that's going to be difficult. How about Touchin' with Love? Another Bobbie Gentry album. Looks like it's a cutout right there. WICB, wherever that might be. This must have been a promo. Doesn't have promo on here that I can see, but it definitely has all the information the Happy Hippie knows all about. Let me take this off. The Happy Hippie knows all about that kind of stuff, where the people that are spinning the records and the DJs, the jocks are spinning the records back in the olden days when they spinned records. They would mark them probably, and then there's the right there. So this one here, you can definitely tell this was in the radio station at one time. There's another Bobbie Gentry album, Fancy. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep all these. We'll see. This might go in the second. If it makes it through this year, then plan on doing this every year. I'm going to start collecting again after I get done going through all my records. I'll start going to the charity shops, Alan says, and the thrift stores and whatnot, and get back on it here at the end of the summer. And then in the fall, I'm going to go ahead and do my sale, and then we'll get back at it again, and we'll see what we can find for the next year. I figure that would be a good way to keep the record collection down, manageable, and yeah, so I better keep going here. Bobby Bloom, he had one big hit back in the 70s, Montego Bay, for those people who have been around since the 70s. And my mom really liked this song, Montego Bay, and I used to have this album back in the day, but when I did my big purge in the 90s, Bobby went away, so but Bobby's back now. So I'm going to hold on to this one because, like I said, my mom, she really liked that song. I used to play it for her. Okay, how about some Brand X? Phil Collins' side project from Genesis. This is their first album, Brand X, and the Brand X band consists of Percy Jones and the rest of them. The rest of all those crazy guys that played in Brand X right there. You got Robin Lumley, you got Morris Peart, you got Percy Jones, and you got Phil Collins with a beard right down here. It's a great band. If you've never delved into Brand X, this is their second album, A Rock and Roll. They're a fantastic group. If you like jazz fusion, then you would like Brand X. Here's their third album, Livestock. Now this album here is, of course, a live album. Consists of songs from the very first 2 albums. Then after this album here, Phil Collins left the band, went back to Genesis, or was doing some solo stuff, and then they made an album without Phil Collins called Masks. Peter Robinson is on this album. He comes in with Morris Peart, and you know I'm a big Peter Robinson fan, and he's a keyboardist, and he's done lots of work with lots of different people. But here's Masks. Another great album. This is when I seen them live in Baltimore. Then they got this album here, Do They Hurt? And Phil Collins is back in the fold. He's on a couple of songs on this album. And we have, is there anything else about? This also has a few songs on here from Phil Collins. And then we have probably their most contemporary album for far as they got Phil Collins, John Goodsall, Mike Clark, John Giblin, Robin Lumley, Percy Jones, Peter Robinson, Morris Pert. They're all on Product. This is the great album. This is probably one of my top 3 out of all their releases. So yeah. And then they did a 12-inch EP from them. That's Peter Robinson there, I believe, kicking that machine. And this is Soho. Streets are Soho. And yeah, had to have this. Had to buy this off of eBay because I wasn't going to find that back in the... Then you got this one here, Brand X Extra, which is some extra tracks that they had left over, and they used them for another album to milk some more money out of them. Love me some Brand X. Been listening to them for a long time. Okay, now we're going to talk about Julie Driscoll and Brian Auger. Here's one of their albums. This is one. I'm going to go in order of their age, but I don't know a whole lot about Brian Auger, but I know I have a lot of his records. Whenever I find them in like Goodwill and stuff, places like that, I pick them up. But I need to start getting into them and seeing if it's something I want to get into. I think some of his album is progressive and some of it's fusion, so I should like it. Julie Driscoll and Brian Auger and the Trinity. Brian Auger's Oblivion Express, and I think this is the fusion stuff. The stuff with the girl, I think was his wife. It was more melodic, maybe a little more progressive. Brian Auger Genesis has nothing to do with Genesis the band. It's just Brian Auger's album, as far as I know. This is Brian Auger and the Trinity featuring Julie Driscoll. And I'm gonna put these down. I can make some room here. Brian Auger's Oblivion Express, recorded live at the Whiskey in Hollywood. Brian Auger's Oblivion Express Reinforcements. They have quite a few of his records, as you can see. And we're still in the B's. Brian Auger's Oblivion Express live from Oblivion Volume 2. Again, I find a lot of these in Goodwills and Habitat for Humanity, places like that. Brian Auger's Oblivion Express, Heartaches and Happiness, or Happiness and Heartaches. Some of you might be the first time seeing these records. How about Brian Auger and Julie Triplets Encore? He made a lot of records back in the 60s and 70s. How about Brian Auger Search Party? This one I have heard, and it's jazz fusion. I really like this one a lot. I need to give this another listen. It's been a while. Okay, now we're going to get into Bill Bruford. Drummer. Played with Yes, played with King Crimson, did a lot of soul stuff, played in a lot of other bands, Absolutely Anywhere, and he was also played with Patrick Moraz, did some work with him. He had a jazz outfit called Earthworks, so he's done quite a bit of stuff. Most people out there know who Bill Bruford is. He's retired. He retired kind of young to spend time. I believe he's got a doctorate. Here's Bill Bruford, One of a Kind. And these are all under Bruford. And I think the rest of the records that are going to be, a lot of them in Discogs are under, some of his records are under just Bruford, the band Bruford, and some of them are under Bill, B-I-L-L, or Bill Bruford. But I have them all together in my collection on the shelf. And here's Gradually Going Tornado. Another great album. Bruford. If you like Bill Bruford, you like fusion jazz, those three right there will definitely whet your appetite. How about the Bruford tapes? This is a promo, bootleg, and easily accessible. Pretty, you can find this one usually for like $5 or something. That's just some live stuff that they did from the first three Bruford albums with Dave Stewart on keyboards. Not the Dave Stewart from the Eurythmics, the keyboardist Dave Stewart. Bill Bruford, Fainting in Coils. There's another promo. This is a bootleg. And this album here sounds pretty good. It's not great, but it sounds pretty good. This one here you can find pretty easily too. Probably online. I don't know if you're going to find that in the wild. How about Master Strokes, 78 to 85, featuring Alan Holdsworth and Jeff Berlin. Bill Bruford, live. And this is Master Strokes. So this will be a best of his three Bruford albums. Love that picture of Bill. I saw him with King Crimson on the Thrax tour. And I seen him with King Crimson on the not the Beat tour, the album before Beat, the red one. Come on, people out there, help me out here. What's the name of that album? It'll come to me. It's when King Crimson reformed in the 80s, and they had the red album. Discipline? I think that's what it's called. Anyway, I saw that tour at Toad's Place in New Haven. And then I seen Bill Bruford with my nephew Peter down in the Tupperware Center, south of Orlando, Florida, out pretty close to Gatorland, out there down on 141, way down south, past Kissimmee. Yep. Good stuff. That's the concert. I was telling people that I had Pink Floyd Pulse. Me and my nephew, we had just seen Pink Floyd, the Pulse tour over in Tampa, and I got the button, and it pulsated like the CD or the DVD does, or the CD does, and the CD box set has the pulse on there, and so anyway, the button had the pulse on there, and I had it on my jacket that I wore to the show, and Mr. Fripp, Bob Fripp, they were warming up, they were getting ready to start, and he said, you over there, take that button, put it in your pocket, get rid of it. I said, okay. He was probably throwing them off as far as the pulse for his Frippatronics, but that's my one time I got to speak to Robert Fripp. The Buckingham's Greatest Hits. This was a timestamp promo, but a lot of it's been worn off. You can still read a couple of the words over here, but those were the promos, and this is a 2i Columbia. I like the Buckinghams. I saw this one here in a Habitat, one of them places, and I picked it up for 50 cents. Now we got Buckingham and Nicks. We're still in the B's. When are we going to be done with these B's? We're going to be done with them today is when we're going to be done with them. Then we're going to move on to the C's. And the guy, I don't know. I'll probably be doing C's all the rest of the week. Okay, so Buckingham Nicks. Everybody knows this album that loves Fleetwood Mac. If you don't, then you need to rush out and find your copy. Go online. This album's going to be hard to find in a Goodwill. I ain't saying you ain't going to find one. I'm saying that it's going to be difficult to find one. They're sought after. A lot of people want them. I picked one up. I think I paid $30 for this one in Orlando before I left Florida. but you can get them online all day long. But some of them go. Some people want crazy money for it. So it's Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks before they joined Fleetwood Mac. They made an album together in California, and then the rest is history. And now Mick Fleetwood wants everybody to get back together, but I heard that she's holding it up because she won't sing with him. So, you know, they don't look like this anymore. They're in their 70s. Get over it. Let's get the farewell tour done. That's what Mick Fleetwood wants to get done. He wants a farewell tour. You got to get these two crazy kids in there involved. So it ain't be worth doing without them. Okay, what we got next? Buffalo Springfield again. Again? Who says again? Yeah, Buffalo Springfield on the Atco. I still have some more of their records to find when I find them out in the wild. How about some birds? We got quite a bit of birds to show you. This one here's got kind of psych sounding, Younger Than Yesterday. Yeah. Mazzy got me interested in listening to the birds again. He was showing birds and talking about the birds. That's one of his top, so to say, maybe top 5 bands. I think Maz is the Birds, and he started talking about the birds, and then I started listening to the birds, and then all of a sudden I'm buying the birds. So he's the birds. How about the greatest hits? Yeah, this is the 24 o'clock. How about the Birds Untitled? One of these is studio, one of them's live, as far as I know. That's what I believe. So I enjoy these Birds albums. I've played them all, and this one here is probably my favorite. Sweetheart of the Rodeo. Found this one in a small town over here in Lincolnton, North Carolina. Was upstairs in a thrift store, antique mall. Back in the back corner, there was a guy selling a handful of records. I saw a Zappa record. I saw the Beatles' White Album. I saw a bunch of stuff up there. And then none of those I needed at the time. And then I went over to where his records were, and I saw some Johnny Cash records on Sun. On the big, I should have picked those up. I was still thinking about those. When I went back, you know, that's what always happens, you know. It's not time to get something when you see it. That's what American Pickers always said. So the Birds, this one here, has got, who does it have on? Has Graham Parsons on it. And then, so that Mazzy got me talking about the Birds. And then I started buying Graham Parsons records. And then I started buying a couple other bands. When we get to them, I'll tell you. When we get to them. We're still in the Bees, though. But I really like Graham Parsons. And I like this album. I think I like this. This is my favorite Birds album. And I guess they got criticized for it back in the day for doing a country album. How about the Best of the Birds Volume 2? How about the Birds? And I heard this album wasn't too good. And I listened to it, it sounded okay. Chris Hillman, that's the other, and David Crosby and Roger McGuinn. And I started buying all their solo albums. Dave Crosby's I had. But the others, and Gene Clark. Of course, Gene Clark. Here's the Birds. They all got back together. What year this was? 73. And I guess it didn't work out so well. They did the one album, and from what I understand, this album wasn't well received. Okay, now we're going to shift into the C's. We're going to start right off with some progressive rock / jazz fusion, and these next two records I'm going to show you have members of Brand X in them, and that's why I own them. Timestamp promo. I don't know if anybody out there has heard of this band, Cafe Jacques, but it has Phil Collins on here, courtesy of Atlantic Records. And it's a promo, and it's also a white label promo. So if you're into being a completist on Phil Collins and stuff that he did in the 70s and the 80s, then you'd want these two albums. Cafe Jacques International, this is their second album. This album also has Phil Collins on it. They're produced by Rupert Hine, and Rupert Hine did a lot of producing for a lot of different bands. Rupert Hine also has a few solo albums out there that are very good. And then, of course, you got John Martin, who Phil Collins was on his records, and then all these people, they're all on played on each other's records. So Cafe Jacques, those two records right there are worth picking up. If you see those, that's good jazz fusion, a little bit of proggish, and Phil Collins is on both of those records. How about some Caldera? I did a blind buy on this one here and found this album. It's on the Capitol record, and it's really good. Again, it's jazz fusion. It's a jazz fusion outfit, Caldera, and it was, like I say, it was a blind buy, and I'm not sure why. I'm trying to remember how I found out about this album. I don't really remember, but yeah, pick it up if you see this album. If you like that fusion jazz. And how about, give me 1 second. Put these over here. I don't want to get them too mixed up. I got to put them all back. How about Camel Mirage? Now, I'm looking for their first album. I don't have Camel's first album. I heard it was a UK press only. It wasn't produced in the US. But anyway, I don't have the record. But I do have Mirage. It's on Janus Records. And yeah. So I really like this album a lot. I have 2 copies, and one of them went to the other room, and they're identical. So somebody will be getting this one here down in the fall when I have my sale. This won't be in the dollar bin, I'll tell you that much. That's a more expensive record. How about Moon Madness? Now, when they did Moon Madness, they had the UK and they had the US. And this one here is the US version, how it looked. And this was the UK of Moon Madness. Another great album from Camel. Whew, we're at 22 minutes, but I'm almost done. How about Rain Dances? That's their follow-up. And these are heavy. These are like 180. These are on Gamma Records, Decca Records. So yeah, if you like Camel, I'm going to show you some Camel here. How about Breathless? This is the last album with Peter Bardens on it. The late Peter Bardens. Peter Bardens was the keyboardist. And he also made some solo albums that we'll get to down the road when we get to the P's. But this is Breathless with Peter Bardens, one of my favorite keyboard players. On this album here, I Can See Your House from Here, Camel. This has Kit Watkins on here, and Kit Watkins played in Happy the Man, Virginia, a band from the United States, progressive jazz outfit from Virginia, Richmond area, I believe. Can See Your House from Here. The only album to have Kit Watkins. Of course, Peter Bardens had departed, started doing solo stuff, so they brought in Kit Watkins for one album. And then we have Nude, another great album from Camel. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Tom, I don't have the, Tom Sharonable, I think his name is, something like that. He was the keyboard player for Kayak. I think he played on the next 3 or 4 Camel albums after that one I just showed you that Kit Watkins was on. I think he's on this one too. This is the Single Factor. Anthony Phillips is on this as well. 12-string guitar, original guitar player for Genesis. I know he's on here. There's other people that are on this album too. But yeah. Another great album by Camel. One of my favorite bands of all time. How about Pressure Points? This is a UK press. I found this one here and it was real cheap. I found it. Apparently the record store owner didn't know what he had. I think he had $5 on it. And I don't know what it's worth. I'd have to look it up on Discogs. But to me, I have the DVD or this the Blu-ray one of this concert as well. But for me, it's worth a lot more than $5 because I've loved this band for 50 years probably. And then the last one for today is one that should have gone earlier in the B's, or it's going to be later in the B's. No, I'm sorry, we're on the C's. So it would have been in the B's in the last segment, but it didn't make it. So somewhere it was in another spot. I was listening to it, so I'm going to show it now, and then I'm going to put it back with the B's, because this one here is definitely staying in my collection. And that would be Blue Cheer. Yep. Fangibus eruptus, or something to that effect. Oh, we're at 25 minutes. All right, well, I want to thank everybody for joining me on episode number 4 of my count through my 50 albums in 50 days. And I'm up to 200 now, so I've shown 200 records in 4 days. Tomorrow night we'll start at 201, and we'll go to 250. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting this one cabinet over here finished, so then we can go to the bigger cabinet over here, and we'll get all the way to the Z. I'm not sure what I have for Z, but when we get there, you'll be the first to know. So y'all have a great rest of your evening. Be safe out there. God bless our troops, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Same bat time, same bat channel. North Carolina Picker out.